What's up everyone? So today I have a special unboxing. This is the Spider-Man Hot Toys figure from Spider-Man Homecoming. So let's just jump right into it. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at the box and see what we have. So this is my first Hot Toys figure, so I'm very excited to get into this and see what we have in stock. So on the front of the box you can see it says Spider-Man Homecoming, and this is the deluxe version. You can see that on the bottom there. MMS 426, so that's the movie masterpiece 426. Then on the side here, again, it says deluxe version that you can see here. And then again, MMS 426, 1/6 scale. And then on the back here, we've got a really cool look at the face sculpt from the movie. And so that's Spider-Man mask. And then on the bottom, again, it says Spider-Man MMS 426 deluxe version. And then on this side, we've got the same thing. So really cool artwork on the front, and let's just go ahead and open it up. So like I said, this is my first Hot Toys figure, so this whole unboxing process is really new to me. So what you do here, it looks like we're just gonna slide this out. So here is what the figure looks like when it's packaged in the box. So it has this little cardboard piece on the side and on the back, so I guess we can remove that. And then you do see you get the Midtown high school jacket and the hoodie that he wears in the movie. So this, I believe, is part of the deluxe version, and that's how it's different from the regular Spider-Man Homecoming figure, which is MMS 425. Then here is the figure itself, and seeing it in person, I never really, I guess, realized how big it would be in person. It's not only tall, but it is pretty wide too, so it's a pretty big figure, so that's really neat to see. And then the sticker here says, please read instruction sheet first and follow all construction details during the assemble process. I think they meant assembly process. But let's see if we can rip this off and try to get into this. Actually, here is the booklet on the bottom here, which I believe will have the instructions, but I'm just gonna leave that for now. Removing the top layer, you get all the hands and the wings in this accessory tray. So hopefully that's clear to see. And I'm gonna set this aside for now. Now, I don't think I'm gonna pull out every accessory in here and go over it in detail. I mean, I'm not a toy reviewer, I'm just kind of doing this for fun. It's my first experience, I just wanted to share it with people. But if you do, I would recommend seeing other channels if you really are interested in looking at every single accessory and hand change and posture. But I don't think I'm actually gonna pull out most of the stuff because I kind of want to keep it as simplistic as possible. Just leave most of the stuff in the box and just kind of deal with the figure itself. So hopefully that doesn't make you guys too upset that I'm not about to take out everything. And then here we see the rest of the figure. So one more thing, I think this Vulture helmet is also exclusive for the deluxe version, and it looks amazing. So let's actually take a look at this really quick before we get into the figure. So it looks really amazing. The detail in this is insane. So you can even see it's reflective here at the front. That's me talking in the camera. And the color scheme and everything just seems incredibly accurate. This is really insane. Let's check to see if the visor doesn't seem to move or anything, but it looks amazing. Okay, so we can put the helmet back in the plastic, and then he also has his backpack. Oh, everything's falling out. So yeah, so the backpack, which is very accurate. It seems, I remember it being the shade of tan, so I think it's as accurate as you can get it. I don't know what the company was, the brand was. They put some foam in the backpack to keep it to give it some padding, I guess, so it looks like there's stuff in there. And it actually zips open, so that's insane. I guess I have to be very careful with that. I don't want to break it. So we can go ahead and put the backpack back, and then it does look like here is some webbing, and I believe there's more like straight webbing in the back there, but we can put that aside for now too. And the other thing that fell out here is the Science Today 2nd edition, so I guess this is a textbook they were reading, and it actually has text inside. So I knew Hot Toys was detailed, but I didn't know they were that detailed. So you can actually see there is legible text in here. So we can put that away too. Oh, figure. Oh my god. So another cool thing is it does have the Sony headphones. These look like the WH-1000X M2s, because I don't think the M3s were out at that time, which is very similar to the M3s that I actually have, so that's kind of neat. Then here is his mask, which is when I believe he can just hold this in his hand, and it is very soft and seems very delicate to me, and you can see the eyes are here. But I guess if you want to pose the figure with him holding the mask in his hands, you can do that. There is the Peter Parker head sculpt. It seems kind of weird to just be holding Tom Holland's head in my hands. It seems a little creepy. But if we take a look, it does seem to bear quite a really good resemblance to Tom Holland. There's something, he doesn't look quite as young, I think, as he did in Homecoming. I don't think the face sculpt makes him look quite as young. He looks a little bit older to me. But aside from that, I think it looks very accurate to him. And he is looking off to the side, which is a little bit strange, but maybe it looks good when you put it on the figure. But I'm not going to be posing him with Tom Holland's head sculpt because I don't really care about the actor so much as I care about the character of Spider-Man. So I'm going to be having him masked because he's Spider-Man. I don't want Peter Parker figure, I want a Spider-Man figure. So unfortunately, his hands are wrapped in this plastic, and it seems like it's difficult to get the hand out without cutting through the plastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut through this and set up the figure. Okay, so here is the figure now. These are the standard hands that he came with, and so I probably will be replacing those with some of the other hands they have because it just looks kind of boring, but maybe I'll leave them. I haven't really decided yet on that. So you can see that he looks fantastic. He looks really good. Now, something I didn't realize is how many creases are showing up in the suit already just by moving him a little bit. So I can definitely see that being problematic if you are trying to pose the figure in some crazy moves, because it's already creasing up in areas where I didn't want it to crease up at all. So it's something I guess I never really thought about, is that they do basically put a fabric over the sculpt. So it's going to act and move like fabric, because I think it is basically fabric. It's not just a paint job on a piece of plastic. So that's something to be considerate of, but it also gives it a lot of realism and why it looks so fantastic in person. Now, one thing I did want to mention though is, at least compared to the way he looked in the movie, he definitely looks a lot chunkier in the figure. So he looks wider, a little bit more stout, and like you can see on the side, like looking at the side profile, he just seems a little bit bulkier to me than he did in the movie, at least in Homecoming. Maybe this looks something more along the sculpt of what he would have looked like in Far From Home, but obviously when they made the figure, they didn't know that he was going to look like that in Far From Home. So just something that I thought I'd point out. Obviously, it's not a big deal at all. It's just something that I noticed. Now, he does stand really well, but again, you can see on the bottom here that it's creasing up his shoes a little bit here. So that can be a bit of an issue. And I mean, it's driving me nuts already, but it's bound to happen, I suppose, at some point anyway. And then one thing that a lot of people pointed out is that in his head sculpt, he has this like center bulge here where they made, I guess, the seam. And it's a little bit problematic. You can see I have a little bit coming off here that's not quite in properly. But to me, you know, this is my first figure, so I'm not really sure what to look for and what to expect. So it doesn't seem like a huge deal to me, but I have heard that it has been an issue for other people as well. So I've gone ahead and put him on his stand. So you can see here a really cool stand with a really cool logo. It says Spider-Man Homecoming on it. And there's a little plastic on the stand, but I wasn't really able to get it off. I think it's supposed to come off, but I'm just gonna leave it because I'm afraid of messing up everything here. But you can see, so I kind of have him in like a basic like suit pose, like when people hang up their suits and they show it just like sitting there ready for you to suit up. So it looks pretty standard and normal, like a museum pose, I guess is the proper phrase. But I think it still looks really awesome. You can see here that I've just kind of put him up in the stand around his abdomen here, and we can take a quick look at the side of the suit, and you can see that the black sketching, the black details that they had on the suit in the movies is also present here, so it looks very nice. I wouldn't expect anything less. And you can see that the webbing here on the suit is obviously not raised because that would be inaccurate to the movie. So it is basically, I think, printed onto the fabric, so that looks good. Now these black pieces, plastic pieces, are slightly raised, which again I think is accurate to the movie as well. And the spider logo up here is raised, so that is also accurate. Now in the movie it looked very flat to me actually, and I think that's just because of the CGI, so it didn't look that great. But in the suit here it is raised, and you can feel it very tangibly. It's not just screen printed on there. Then we can look at the eyes. So these are just the standard eyes. I did have a chance to replace them with other eyes, and maybe I'll still do that. I haven't completely decided yet. I think that's kind of the fun of it. But the eyes do look very good. I think these standard eyes look pretty good too. They look very comic book accurate, very 1994 Spider-Man the Animated Series-esque. So I think I might just leave them for now, but we'll see what happens with that. And then we can take a look at the web shooters. So the web shooters do twirl, or twist, I suppose, and you can move them this way. So I was a little bit annoyed that they moved, but I guess that gives it more flexibility if you want to pose the figure. So I'm just going to keep it in a standard position like so, just so that the web shooters really match up with the web shooter on his hand. Now on the back of the figure, you can see the giant tick-looking spider, which is very classic and iconic, so that's awesome that they replicated it so well on the suit here as well. And you can see the belt does go around all the way to the waist, and then you can see the legs. Again, we have that black etching detail, which looks amazing. And let's actually take a look at the boots really quick. So the boots, or the shoes, I guess, look very good because they don't look like boots. They do look like basically shoes, which is great, but they don't look like sneakers quite like they did in The Amazing Spider-Man, which I hated that in the first movie that his shoes basically look like tennis shoes or sneakers, and these definitely look like they're more part of a suit and they're meant to not just be sneakers. But then if you do actually lift the bottom of the shoe up and we can take a look at the soles, you can see some detail here. Now, I don't know if this is at all accurate to the movie at all. I've never looked at the bottom of his feet in the movie, but they do look like very similar actually to the Andrew Garfield shoes in Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 1. So it's just something to notice. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's something, if it is accurate, it's something that I did not notice in the movies at all. So that's really interesting to me. Now, as I also mentioned, if you do pose him just standing, you are going to get a little bit of creases around the ankles. I considered having his toes pointed down since I am posing him on the base, on the stand anyway, so he would still be able to stand. But in the end, I decided if I'm going to at least pose the figure, I might as well keep his feet planted on the ground. So it's going to probably stretch and crease a little bit here around the ankles, but I don't think it should be a deal breaker. Now, one thing I am noticing here, though, is on the chest, I do see something popping out a little bit. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think it's the fabric. I think it's the abs, the sculpt they put on the chest. And I didn't notice it earlier, but I am noticing a little bit now. So it kind of looks like he has a little bit of a gut sticking out from some angles. Maybe you can argue that that is his abs popping through the suit. But when you're just looking at it normally, I think it looks perfectly fine. So before we wrap this up, I just want to give a quick recap of all the accessories that the figure came with, just because I wasn't sure if I did a thorough job of showing that to you guys. So let's take a quick look at those one more time before we go. Okay, so I've just sprawled this out on my bed here. So, like I said, the deluxe version comes with the Midtown High jacket and the blue hoodie, which he wears in the film with the suit. Then we also had this abundance of hands and wings, the web wings that he uses to fly or glide, I guess. And you do have a whole bunch of different hand combinations, which I was planning on switching out, but in the end I decided that the fists looked pretty decent, so I'm just gonna stick with those. So that's very cool as well. And I did show a lot of this, but just in case I missed anything. So all the different eye variations. If I were to change his eyes, I would definitely go for the bigger eyes, but I was just afraid it would make him look like he's shocked, like at the end of Far From Home. So I decided not to go with those for now, but I might change that. And there is the enhanced combat mode / instant kill eyes, which look amazing. So maybe I'll do that as well. Then again, we have the Peter Parker Tom Holland head sculpt, which looked pretty good. Then we had the Vulture helmet. We had a whole bunch of different webbings that you can put into his glove, I believe, or his web shooter, so you can have things sticking out, but probably not going to be doing or messing with any of that. We had this very movie accurate backpack that actually had a zipper, and we had another web coming that you could connect. And then they gave us some extra web shooters, so I guess in case you lose the ones that are on his wrist, like I said, they do move and they can pop off if you take the hands off. So I guess that's nice. I'm not really sure if they're meant for a different purpose or not. And we also have these extra joints, which I believe you can use for the hands if you lose the joints that he comes with. I think. I'm not 100% sure about this. So if you know what these are for, let me know. Then we get his loose mask. This is meant for him to be holding when you're posing the figure. Obviously, you would probably use the Tom Holland head sculpt instead of the mask that I have on right now. And it's not stretchy enough to actually put over his head, okay? So don't actually try to put this over his head. It's meant to just be held in his hands using one of the other hand combinations that we already looked at. And then again, we had the textbook and the headphones that I showed. Now we're back to the eyes. And one last thing is that when you see the box here, what's really cool is that you can actually open the box on the side. This is, I think, attached magnetically. So you pull that open, and then you can actually see the figure in the packaging with this window panel, which is something I didn't realize initially. And then you get access to the Spidey signal and all the wonderful people who helped design this figure. So huge shout out to them, everyone here from Hot Toys who helped put this figure together. Alright, so that is it. Let me know what you guys think of this figure. I am super pumped to see it here. Let me know what you guys think. If you have this figure, if you're posing the figure or not, be sure to let me know. I am super pumped to start hopefully a Spider-Man Hot Toys collection, and the next Spider-Man figure, I won't tell you guys what it is yet, but I think it should be here sooner rather than later. So super pumped. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.